Hello, everybody. Welcome. And this is the Tennessee Court Interpreter Ethics and Skill Building workshop. And if you are watching this, you probably have already taken the actual workshop with me. And I wanted to just put the material that we review in a little brief narrated PowerPoint so that you can have some guidance when you are going back and trying to study. We talk about the Administrative Office of the Court, or AOC, being the main government organism that regulates everything that has to do with interpreters. The Language Access Program Manager is Ryan Mauser. You have your information here, and you can reach out to him anytime that you have any questions regarding the program itself. I only teach the class, but he is the one that runs the program and will be able to answer more questions for you. The overview of the Core Interpreter program. Remember, this is just a very brief. It's only 14 hours. It's not a complete education program. It's not a college degree. So it's very important for you to understand that you have to be very resourceful and you need to be able to access studying material and be able to be resourceful as far as looking for study resources so that you can, and as well as being able to ask questions and go around about your daily business day, basically, in an environment that is sometimes not very friendly or very clear and clear cut for us. Most interpreters are freelancers. We are our own boss, but we also don't have job security. Right now, there is a great need for interpreters. We don't know if that's going to be forever. We don't have health insurance or pay vacation. We are not employees of the administrative office of the court. We are subcontractors, just like when you hire an electrician or a painter or whatever it is that you might hire services for. So we are what is known as 1099 contractors. The taxes are not deducted from our paychecks, so it's important for you to be aware of that. You need to put away some money or might get yourself in trouble because when time comes for you to report your taxes, you won't have the funds to pay for that. We are not exclusively tied to working with the courts. We can also work privately. The AOC has specific fees and we have to obey by those. We can't charge people directly, but you can also do private work and where you can set your own fees and charge whatever you want. Typically, AOC pays to our minimum travel time, mileage. So you can make your own policy as far as that when it comes to private work. As far as work cancellations, work challenges in Tennessee, there are 31 districts and they're all different. There's no centralization. There's no clear contact person. It's a stiff environment. We need to make sure we dress appropriately. Dress code is very important. And, make sure that you are able to navigate that system in some way. But again, it's not all bad. You can make good money. You can make as much or as little as you want. You can work as much or as little as you want. You can reject your assignments if you want. There is no obligation to take them. Back to going to concepts specifically, we talked about translation versus interpretation. Translation is the written form of our work, and interpretation is the oral form. And we talk about the difference and similarities between those. Modes of interpretations, there are only 3 modes of interpretations, that is consecutive, simultaneous, and side translation. We talk in depth about those, and you can review them on your book as well. There are different types of interpreters. You can be a court interpreter, a medical interpreter, or a community interpreter, conference interpreter. There are different certifications for those, so you can review those on those websites that I share. How do we start work? We can work full-time or part-time. We can, we can be freelancers or work in a relationship of employment with an organization. Things that are not court specific, hospital, clinics, health departments, schools. Court specific all the courts, private attorneys, workers' compensation, all of those will be good resources for you to work. The Core Interpreter Workshop specifically, it gives you an introduction to the profession. You have a manual, and the manual covers all of these items. It's very, very important for you to go over that manual. That manual, if you read it in depth, you will get every piece of information that I know today and I give today. And that's because I've read it many times. So anything that I know, I've learned that in real life experience, but it's important for you to go over all of that. As far as the modules, there are specific modules on the book, and you will be able to observe those too. If you read them, you will be able to understand what I'm saying. Becoming a court interpreter, the steps are a little complicated sometimes. You have to take, the step one is the ethics and skill buildings workshop, which is what we are doing, what we are reviewing right now. It's a 14-hour class, and it is mandatory in the state of Tennessee. Step two would be the written exam or the oral proficiency interview. The written exam is free, is simply in English, and you reach out to Ryan for that, and he will give you all the information. And better than that, all the information is on the website, which is right here, Tennessee.gov, and go to interpreters, to programs, court interpreter program, and then become an interpreter, and there you will have all the information. The oral proficiency interview is not the oral exam. That is a different thing. It is oral proficiency interview, or OPI. You can take one or the other first. Either you take the written exam first or the oral proficiency interview first. It doesn't matter. That's the only two steps that you can take interchangeably. Other than that, all the other steps you have to take in the order that I'm indicating here. The oral proficiency interview is also, the information is also on the website, and you have to reach out to them directly and set up an appointment with them. It's a phone interview, and it's about 20 minutes of just regular speech with, talking to somebody in English, and then on your second language or first language, however you consider that. They are looking at your proficiency in the language. They're not looking at knowing if those answers that to the questions they ask you are correct or not. They're simply wanting to know your level of proficiency. Until last year, that oral proficiency interview required a 12 out of 12. Now, starting 2023, you're able to pass that with a 10 out of 12. And that is a very good positive thing, because there were a lot of people that had difficulty with that. If you pass those two steps, you have to do a criminal background check, and if you pass that, now you're going to be a registered court interpreter, one step below certified. As a registered court interpreter, you have to complete 18 hours of 18 continuing education units for the renewal period. In 3 years, you have to be able to have 18 hours of continuing education, and 12 of those have to be specific for language skills, meaning the rest can be, general education or anything. There are many aspects that are not specific to court interpreting, but the rest have to be specific to court interpreting. And Ryan is the one that will tell you what is appropriate or not. And the AOC sends continuing education opportunities, but you can also find them online. There are many companies that do that. The fourth step and the final step is the oral examination, and this is the most complicated one. Remember, we talk about three modes of interpretation: cite, consecutive, and simultaneous. The oral examination requires that you pass all three of those. However, in Tennessee, you are not obligated to pass them all in one sitting. That happens in some other states, and it happens in the federal exam as well. But in Tennessee, you could technically pass one day the cite and the consecutive and fail the simultaneous, and the next time you come, you just take the simultaneous until you get to pass all three. Or you might pass, the simultaneous and not the other three. It doesn't matter. The point is that you must take it once every year, at least. The oral exam is offered only twice a year. year, only every 6 months. And that is because if you pass one, you have to wait 6 months. If you don't pass it, you have to wait 6 months to do it again. Same with the written exam. If you don't pass it, you have to wait 6 months for it. So all of those dates and all that information is going to be on the AOC website. You are required to take it once a year, like I said, and if you don't pass it within 3 years, you will, from when you were designated registered interpreter, you would have to start the process all over again, basically. To pass the oral exam, you must score at a 70% or higher inside consecutive and simultaneous section. The psych section contains 2 parts, one in English and one in Spanish, and it's required that you pass at least 65 of each. In other words, you can't pass one at 40 and the other one at 100, for example. You have to pass at least 65% on each part, and then to be able to pass completely. As I mentioned before, you're not required to pass all the tests at the same time. Here is this is a little outdated actually. It's not 12 anymore, it's 10, as I mentioned, but this is where you can actually find this flow chart that gives you a little bit of a visual of the process of the certification. We talk about qualities of a good interpreter. I'm not going to go in detail over those. This is very simple, and we talk about it, and you can also find all this information. One of the most important documents that we have and that we should really know in detail is Tennessee Supreme Court Rule 42, which is the one that regulates the standards for court interpreters. You have a link here. You have it also on the resources that I emailed to you. Section 1 is divided in sections, and each one of those sections talk about something specific. It's very, very, like I said, very important for you to read that. The Tennessee Supreme Court Rule 41 is the one that has the ethics, the code of ethics for court interpreters. Also very important for you to learn them and to go over that in detail. We went over about the reason why we have mandatory, or a certain mandate to have court interpreters in the state of Tennessee and in any court in the United States. We talk about the Civil Rights Act of 1974, Executive Order 13166. This is not something that is going to be on the exam probably, but it's good to know the reasons why we're here. We talk also about the Court Interpreters Act of 1978, another of the reason, or the main reason why there are certain requirements for court interpreters today, that not just anybody can be interpreting in courts when possible. We also went over the interpreters in the medical setting. We talked a little bit about joint commission more as a information thing more than anything, and just to explain why sometimes the difference between the judicial and the medical environment, that's just for information and not for an exam. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to leave you with this part for now and create a second slideshow for you to be able to separate this a little bit. Thank you.